results from world-renowned relationship expert John Gottman's famous Love Lab have proven an incredible truth. Men make or break relationships. Based on 40 years of research, The Man's Guide to Women unlocks the mystery of how to attract, satisfy, and succeed with a woman for a lifetime. For the first time ever, there is a science-based answer to the age-old question, what do women really want in a man? Dr. Gottman, author of the New York Times bestseller The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work, and his wife and collaborator, clinical psychologist Julie Schwartz Gottman, Ph.D., have pored over the research along with best-selling co-authors Douglas Abrams and Rachel Carlton Abrams. Together, they have written this definitive guide for men, providing answers on everything from how to approach a woman and build a connection with her, to how to truly satisfy her in bed and know when the relationship is on the right track. The Man's Guide to Women is a must-have playbook for how to play and win the game of love. The book barely starts and Gottman already delivers an eye-opener. Men are the crucial factor between a great relationship and a failed relationship. It's not to say that women don't count. It's a relationship of two individuals, so sure, they count, but men and their actions are the key variable. What's a man to do then? Read on. What do women really want? First of all, women are unique. And if she contradicts what Gottman's Love Lab says, listen to her. They do, however, have several traits that are likely to be shared, and the number one thing women want is this: trustworthiness. Trustworthiness in dating and relationships means that you are who you say you are. You do what you say you do. The authors say women want safe and dependable men, and that's why they find firefighters hot. They epitomize the role of the dependable hero, and that's why symbolic actions of protectiveness and concern, such as opening doors and pulling chairs, actually do work. This is very important also sexually because trustworthiness and sex are linked for women. Sex means being vulnerable for women, and fear or lack of trust will inhibit them sexually. Women's two biggest complaints, women in relationships, have two major complaints. He is never there for me. There isn't enough intimacy and connection. They are related complaints of women who want more intimacy but feel alone in a relationship. Men's two biggest complaints, too much fighting, not enough sex. Men are also in a way lonely in a relationship and they want intimacy as much as women, but men feel more intimacy through less fighting and more sex. What men want? Men want to be desired and to feel like his woman adores him and approves of him. The biggest relationship fix: attunement. Attunement is how you increase intimacy, remove most fights, and increase sex. Attunement. Women want trustworthiness, and trustworthiness is built with emotional connection, which in turn is created with attunement. Men who learned emotional attunement got what they ultimately wanted from their relationships: less fighting and more sex. To understand attunement, we can use it as an acronym: attend and give your undivided attention. Turn toward, not just a metaphor, but physically turn towards her. Understand? Whatever she says, strive to understand. Ask questions. Non-defensive listening. Don't justify or attack back. Empathize. Understanding is intellectual. Empathizing is emotional. Feel what she's feeling. Non-defensive listening. A special note goes to listening without defending. Men more easily go into flight or fight, so it's not easy for them to listen calmly. But those who were able to stay calm were men with great relationships. But first, here's what most men do wrong. Men's mistakes: dismissing emotions. The fights of many couples are the consequence of men dismissing women's emotions instead of attuning to them. You dismiss women's emotions every time you minimize them or say she's exaggerating. Fix them. Try to distract her from them, make fun of them, mock them, ignore them. A big mistake men do is to feel responsible for the woman's emotions. When they do that, they either try to fix her or become irritable as they take her feelings personally. Men have problems especially with negative emotions. They think dwelling on them makes matters worse and will rather avoid them altogether. This is, again, a mistake. Acceptance is key instead. Or even better, look at emotional crisis as an opportunity to build trust, attunement. Women want trustworthiness, and trustworthiness is built with emotional connection, which in turn is created with attunement. Men who learned emotional attunement got what they ultimately wanted from their relationships: less fighting and more sex. To understand attunement, we can use it as an acronym: attend and give your undivided attention. Turn toward, not just a metaphor, but physically turn towards her. Understand? Whatever she says, strive to understand. Ask questions. Non-defensive listening. Don't justify or attack back. Empathize. Understanding is intellectual. Empathizing is emotional. Feel what she's feeling. Non-defensive listening. A special note goes to listening without defending. Men more easily go into flight or fight, so it's not easy for them to listen calmly. But those who were able to stay calm were men with great relationships. Women's rhythms. Women change as their hormones change during their menstrual cycles. This just general guidelines, as it varies widely from woman to woman. First 2 weeks of menstrual cycle, women are friendlier, talkative, and relaxed. Second 2 weeks, they can be more stressed, irritable, and craving alone time. During ovulation, women can be more emotional and interested in sex. PMS, premenstrual syndrome, can last 1 day or a full 2 weeks, can include depression, anxiety, irritability, emotional sensitivity. You can help smooth things out by listening to her feelings, which are real. Avoid blaming PMS. Get familiar with her cycle. Not every woman has a 28 days cycle. Remember that women's constant is change. So, don't take her moods personally. They often have nothing to do with you. Know that your woman of last week will be a different one from this week. Hormones and sex. Men have sex centers in their brains which are twice the size of women's. And men think about sex on average 6 times more frequently than women. But while men peak in sexual drive during teenager years and early adulthood, women don't hit their sexual stride until their 30s. Sexual drive for the genders indeed align more closely in the 40s and 50s. Alpha vs beta. The cycle effect. Women are more attracted to the aggressive alpha men when ovulating and more attracted to kinder and nurturing men when not. Beta. The authors say that heroes adapt their behavior to be both alpha and beta, depending on their woman's cycle. Women and fear. While men go through most of their daily life without experiencing fear, that's not the case for women. It was actually eye-opening for me to read the example in the book. A marriage counselor asked a room full of couples when was the last time they were afraid. Men were astonished to see their spouses were afraid or feeling uneasy on a daily basis, including when walking in the parking lot to get to that same seminar room. Stress response: men get less fearful in high-stress situations. Women get more fearful instead, and are also more likely to get mini-traumatized and be even more afraid of similar situations in the future. The example is a near car crash where the man chases the other driver and the woman gets more and more afraid. Holding hands during fearful situations. An experiment in MRI scan showed that holding hands to their husbands completely erased fear in happily married women. It slightly decreased fear in unhappily married women, and it had no consequences when holding hands was a stranger. Women and attraction women look for confidence, intelligence, and high social status. High social status is highly contextual, though, so you can be a nobody at work but have high social status on a night out playing board games. The authors say that the expertise you demonstrate in an area of interest is what attracts women. So if you collect stamps, be highly knowledgeable of stamps. Romancing a woman. The authors say that women remember the first kiss more than anything else, even more than losing their virginity. Is she girlfriend material? The author recommends you take note of how she treats her pets, friends, and family. That will give you a good idea on how she will treat you in the relationship. Some more warning signs. Does she complain often? Pattern of friendships. How she treats service personnel and strangers. Is she considered or self-centered? Making love to a woman, The Man's Guide to Women, has a whole chapter on making love. But here's a few droplets of wisdom that no other sex book will tell you on women's mindsets. Beauty for women is a matter of survival. There's constant pressure on her from society and more from media from any direction. A woman's self-identity is tied to her body. She doesn't see herself separately from her body, so her self-worth is often tied to it. While men are judged by their performance and abilities, women are judged today by the same standards, plus how good they look and how they dress in the process. So, here's what a hero does. Comments on how great she looks. Answer: you look good in everything when she asks if she looks fat. Does not make funny jokes about her eating. Let her know he's attracted to her. Appreciates her body in and out of bed. When heroes do that, they also get much better sex. The mental side of sex, good sex and lovemaking start before bed. A woman's anatomy is actually only a small percentage of what turns her on and gives her pleasure. And, the authors say, the greatest sex organ of a woman is her mind. And it's a myth that if a woman doesn't reach an orgasm, the man is not a good lover. Ultimately, say the authors, a woman is responsible for her own sexual pleasure. She must first allow herself to reach an orgasm with you. Handling conflicts, first of all, make up sex is a myth. Fighting puts a damper on women's desire. Women's anger has its root in 3 different categories: powerlessness, injustice, other people's irresponsibility. Research in the Love Lab shows that most of the times conflict starts without a reason, and when it happens, women want a good listener, because women's goal is to be better understood by her partner. Men and conflicts men are more likely to get aggressive, passive-aggressive, or seek revenge when they are angry. Men get emotionally flooded and overwhelmed during conflict situation. They feel the shock of the attack and the need to defend. Those who can reduce heart rate while staying present tend to respond better and have better relationships. To avoid flooding, there are 3 strategies. Breath deeply. Count to 10. Take a break. We take a break when we think of your wife, but taking your mind off your man is to learn to calm down when she has strong feelings or criticisms. It's not about bending over, say the authors. It takes lots of strength to really listen while staying detached. Women and conflicts. Women are on average better at managing conflict. And that's one of the reasons they don't understand men stonewalling or leaving mid-conflict. They are less likely to express anger directly, stay angry longer, and become more resentful. Since women are more likely to use indirect ways to express anger, they are also more likely to simply stay silent. Women need friends while men need a woman to live longer. It's friendships with other women that determines women's longevity. Breast cancer patients also showed that the survival rate was highly correlated with the number of friends, and not on whether or not they had a spouse. Women have a natural inclination for friends. They make friends more naturally than men, like while shopping or having manicure done. Confidants and Jen is in a study of blue-collar marriages. Their spouses was the only confidants for men, and men spoke to their wives about almost anything. But their wives had many topics they didn't talk about with their husbands and preferred other women instead. Men's jealousy. Some men are jealous and feel threatened by their spouse's girlfriends, and it was a major cause of domestic violence. In case of male friends, though, they might have a reason to worry. The authors say that friendships slip into affairs when the woman complains to him about her relationship. Stages of love. Love has 3 stages. Limerence, the period of butterflies but not necessary nor sufficient for lifetime love. Trust. Women make sure he's responsible for children, couple years. Loyalty. You've chosen commitment, relationship transcends the two of you and becomes a thing of beauty. Limerence, the period of crazy love, is not the right time to make decisions about long-term commitment, but the couples who don't experience it sometimes feel as if something is missing and wonder if they've done the right choice. Importantly, the authors say that any other relationship type beyond monogamy, in stage 2, is a threat to the relationship. Once you enter stage 3, there's a sense of purpose in the relationship. Couples feel like they have created something bigger than their mere sum. How do you know if she's the one? Research has shown that similar interests matter little. Feelings compatibility matters, though. That's about how you express affection and love, how you express feelings, if at all. People have different ways of expressing feelings, passionate and all over, or uncomfortable and shying away from feelings. If you are mismatched there, it rarely works out. Here's an example of a more rational woman withholding emotions. VS1, who makes no effort and bursts at the seam. If meta-emotion works, here's what matters next. How does it feel being together? If she makes you feel happy, appreciated, and that you can be yourself, then she is the right one for you. Marriage. Turns out, marriage is more than a piece of paper. The longer a couple lives together without getting married, the less they behave like a couple. They were also less likely to support each other and more likely to leave if someone better came along. Overall, the man's guide for women makes the case that marriage is good. Women and children. The main message here is that women do put their children first once they become mothers. They tend to build social networks that will help them support their babies, and the father is a central piece in such a network. She needs you, and countless studies show countless benefits for the children who grow up with an active father. Heroes bond with their children as well instead of being jealous, and help raise healthy children in a happy family. Staying together for a lifetime, heroes are always curious about her and never stop investigating her and asking her questions. And they're never afraid of sharing their own world. Staying curious is how you keep a healthy communication and tell her you care with facts. Sharing your world is how you keep trust and an open relationship. The authors say that betrayals don't happen out of the blue, but are the result of a long slide of secrets, unexpressed feelings, moments of connection that went missing or dismissed. If you turn away from your partner too many times, she might not be there when you finally turn to her again. So here's the other key. Be present.